Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are continuing our coverage of the 2022 WSOP. And the gentleman that we are talking with right now has been a longtime professional poker player, doesn't play as much as he used to. We grew up together back in the early 2000s playing on the East Coast, as he's from Pennsylvania. I'm from Massachusetts. Obviously, we met a lot of times in Atlantic City, Foxwoods, all over, and of course at the World Series as well. He has over 7.5 million in career earnings, technically 8.5 after we discuss what we're talking about today, and has made multiple final tables at the World Series. But no gentleman and no player was more excited to finish 42nd in an event this summer than this person. Welcome to the show, Matt Glantz. Matt, thanks for joining us here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show.
Hey, Bernard, it's been a long time. I think last time I was on the show was probably over a decade ago.
I think so. We just have interviewed a lot of people over this summer. Justin Peachy is one of them, who it was over a decade ago as well. And so it's really kind of great to get people back on and talk about the new things and the new accomplishments. We're going to get to why you are on this show because of, I'm going to give a little preview, $1 Million Bounty event. Again, you finishing in 42nd. But before that, let's talk a little bit about, for people who don't remember you from your first time on the show, a little bit of your poker background and how you kind of got started in it all.
So I started playing poker, I guess around 2004. I was an options trader on the floor of the Philadelphia Stock Exchange in the 90s, and kind of transitioned. I was there for a little over a decade, transitioned into poker, just found it as a hobby first, and then found it as a career. It was more lucrative than trading at the time, after the .com crash. So poker was my main source of income from 2004 till COVID started. And then when COVID started, I saw poker was kind of dead in the water for a while, and I went back to trading, and I've been running a hedge fund since.
Oh, wow. Awesome. You obviously, with everyone, the no limit hold'em craze exploded, obviously, because of the moneymaker error. But since then, you have become very, very proficient in mixed games, getting deep in many of the WSOP mixed game events. Even this year, the $10,000 horse championship getting to 18th, the $50,000 poker players championship getting to the final table 7th, dealer's choice 6-handed finishing 7th. Talk a little bit. Those couple of last two were in 2021, but talk a little bit about that transition from no limit hold'em over to mixed games and kind of why.
So actually, I've never really focused on no limit hold'em. Even when I started playing poker, I was a limit hold'em player.
Yeah.
And then after a few years of strictly playing limit hold'em, I was playing Omaha high low. Then started with the studs and sort of just played no limit as an ancillary game to the other games. So I was always focused on the mixed games. I just was drawn to those games. It seems more fitting to my skill set. And I've certainly done much better in the mixed game arena in the World Series events over the last 15 years than I have in the no limit events.
Talk a little bit about, for people who are such no limit, obviously the majority of the world are no limit hold'em. Mm-hmm. What to you, why does the game fit you so well? Because there might be some people listening right now that are like, not that they're frustrated no limit, but maybe they feel that they don't realize that there might be a calling in mixed games. What is it about mixed games that you feel, plays to your strength so well?
It's more of a mathematical game than no limit. No limit's much more field game. You have to know your opponent's tendencies a lot more, whereas mixed games, it's a lot of just basic math, basic valuing of hands. The thing I like about the most is that the speed of the game, the speed of the limit games is so much faster. Nobody's in there tanking, wasting time, posture, on the river, pretending they had something. So I love it because the action keeps going. It's always moving. Unlike when you see like No Limit these days, it's kind of boring. You're sitting there, it might be on your phone in the hand because some guy's taking 5 minutes on the turn to decide what to do. So I really like the mixed games for that reason.
Right. I think I was talking with, it was either Chris Wallace or Tom Schneider when we were talking about horse earlier this summer, that you can tell, when I was playing the $1,500 horse, you can tell when someone's a no limit player and trying horse for the first time, because they sit there and tank for like a minute over a decision that's like either drop or fold. Like, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Like, you could take 5-10 seconds. I get it. But to tank for a minute and quote unquote look into the soul of your person, come on, let's just move on. Like, this person's exactly. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Something you don't have to deal with in the mixed games. You rarely ever see that kind of stuff. So you're really just in there just valuing your hands versus you're valuing your opponent's range. And it's just some basic math.
Right.
For me anyway, that's how I play.
It was described years ago that no limit hold'em is an art where limit hold'em is more of a science, and it sounds like
that makes sense.
That kind of mathematics is in there. As you said, your poker playing has kind of diminished over the last couple of years due to COVID. But obviously you came over to the World Series the last couple of years. Is the World Series still something that you look forward to and still want to play?
Oh yeah, I love the World Series. Really enjoy it. It's like summer camp for me. So I came out for the whole time this summer. I transitioned back to trading at the beginning of COVID. Really haven't played much poker for the last 2 years other than the World Series. So, and I'll probably continue on that path. Gambling in the market every day keeps me very busy. So I don't really need poker cash games during the year, but love the competition out in the World Series. Love seeing old friends and meeting up and competing in the tournaments.
Are you out there pretty much the entire summer, or do you kind of go back and forth?
I came out here for 6 weeks. Yeah, my kids are grown now, so that they don't need me as much more. They're in college, senior in high school, and my son's a college sophomore. So they're on their own pretty much.
Yeah.
a little different than it used to be.
Yeah, no, 100%. My kids are just about getting there like that, so I get it. It's when they're driving, it's totally a different world. It's almost like, Dad, you're home. Like, why are you home? Like, why?
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk about this event. The event that we're talking about is a new one to the World Series this year. It was called the $1,000 No Limit Hold'em $1 Million Bounty, and there was a lot of
mystery bounty. You forgot that one. That's important.
That's right. The mystery bounty, and this was a little bit of a buzz going into the World Series because some other properties were doing this as well. Where basically, again, this is a very, very general, and I'm going to let Matt talk a little bit more about it. But basically, they took out of the 1,000, they took $300 out of the prize pool and put it into this bounty pool. If you got knocked out day one, you were in a bounty. No one got any money. But if you made it to day two, that's a different story. Then you were part of this kind of bounty pool. So you had a chance to get minimum $1,000 all the way up to $1 million. That was the, next level. To put in perspective, 14,000, that's right, 14,112 people went on to play in this event. And it could be obviously entries because you could play multiple times for this. So that's how it kind of played out. Crazy that, that many people, 825 players survived to day two. Now, if you knock somebody out, totally different story. So, Matt, I want you to describe, let's not get to your moment first, but kind of describe how the process went during this bounty event.
Okay, so in a standard bounty tournament, let's say there's a $1,500 buy-in and a $500 bounty, which means that anytime you knock someone out, you would receive a $500 chip or $500 bounty on that person you knock out, and it's just a standard amount. But this one was a different idea, a mystery bounty. which I had never played before. And, it seemed pretty exciting. People were very there was a lot of FOMO over this. Everyone needed to get in. Well, everyone wanted to get a bag so they can try to get into this mystery bounty, because you didn't know what kind of bounty you were going to get. You could get as small as 1,000 and up to $1 million. So there was one shot at $1 million, one shot at 500,000, one shot at 250,000. Then there was more at maybe 3 or 4 at 100,000, and then most people would get 1,000. So right. I think there was everyone who made day 2 was a bounty. So there was like somewhere around 900 players. So there's like around 900 bounties, and overwhelming majority of them were 1,000. So how it worked is on day 1, it was just a regular tournament. The idea is just try to get a big stack. So when you get to day 2, you can cover people and knock people out so you can get a bounty. But anyone you knock down on day 2, you would get a bounty. And what that means is, in this case, in the mystery bounty at the World Series, is you would someone would come over the floor. The dealer would call the floor. The floor would call over these guys that came around from table to table with an iPad and put your information in. And at some point, you got to push a button. You could choose to do it right then. You could choose to do it on break. Whatever you decided to do, you could wait till the end of the tournament if you wanted. So some people wanted to let all the bounties go out, and they thought their strategy was to just wait and see and click the button at the end. What I did was I waited till a break. You push the button, and on the big screen in the Paris ballroom, while we're playing, you could see when your pull was coming up. So you pushed the button that put you in the queue. And when I did it, there was 50 people ahead of me in the queue. So we were waiting while we were playing. You could keep seeing other people getting pulls for the chest or for their bounties. It took about 20 minutes to a half an hour before my name came up. First pull I saw up there, the thing spun out, and I got $1,000. That's the minimum, and that's what over 90% of the bounties were, 1,000.
Yeah.
And then my second pull, I got the chest, which is like an animated version of a gold chest, which means that you get to go up on stage and pull an actual physical envelope out of a physical chest. Yeah. I think I was probably the 5th or 6th person that went up there. And when I went up there, there was still a $250,000 bounty left, a $500,000 bounty, and $1 million. No one got the big ones. But right. when you get up to the chest, the lowest you can get is 25,000. So you're guaranteed, once you go up on stage, guaranteed 25,000. It's either going to be 25, 100, 250, 500, or $1 million. So I pulled an envelope out. I started squeezing it. I did a really, really hard, deep squeeze. I saw the 1. So right away, because of the denominations of the bounties, I knew it was either 100,000 or $1 million.
Right. I
squeezed a little further, saw the comma right after the 1. So I knew it can't be 100,000, has to be the $1 million. And it was celebration time. And I'm sure you saw the video.
Yeah.
I celebrated. I
gave
it an all celebration for sure.
So when you said that the first one, so did you get coincidentally 2 bounties at this very similar time frame? Oh yeah. So but did you get some earlier in the day as well?
Okay, so I got a total, I think, either 7 or 8 bounties throughout the tournament. They were all 1,000, so maybe one was 5,000, and the other one was the $1 million. But the one I hit the $1 million one was the second bounty I got, so it was pretty early in the day. I think it was like 2 hours into the day 2.
Oh, wow. It seemed like it was later. Oh, I again, just the way the reporting was. It seemed like it was later. Yeah.
No, I think we started at 2 o'clock. It was around 4 o'clock. So it was 2 hours in, and it really deflated the room, because what that meant is
that's
once I got the $1 million, no one else could win that $1 million. So, nobody in the tournament wants to see another person win the $1 million, because that just means that prize is off the table. But when I got the first 2 bounties, it was in a hand where I got it in 10s versus jacks versus ace king, and hit a 10 on the turn, got super lucky and knocked 2 people out. I had them covered and got the 2 bounties there. But the funny thing was, at the first hour of that tournament, it was nonstop 3-way all-ins, 4-way all-ins, every single hand. So the first 7 hands took us like over an hour, because it was like I mean, the hands that people were getting in, like 10-7 suited, Jack 9 suited, because of the bounty, because of the $1 million bounty.
Yeah.
Everyone just was taking whatever shot they could to bust somebody. If someone had a smaller stack than you, you're willing to gamble at all costs just to try to get a bounty because you wanted to get that chance of that million. Crazy. So the hands were insane.
Right. Crazy. So, I mean, like, if you think about strategy with regards to this, it's slightly different, right? Because this one is, you had said it, you really are trying on day one. It's not about, yes, there's two kind of focuses. It seems like. You tell me if you agree. One, get through the day because you got to get to the bounties. But secondly, you really also want a big stack. You don't want just a short stack, because if you have just a short stack and you get through, you're not getting a bounty, right?
Yeah. So the last few hours of day one, the clear strategy was not to get through the day so much as to get a stack. Like if you don't have a stack, if you only have 10 big blinds or something, then you're really not doing yourself a service by getting to day two anyway. You really need to have your table covered. If possible, you want to have your gamble as much in the last hour of day one, so you can have your table covered for day two, and which I did. There was a guy that actually had a little bit more chips than me on day two. But just for instance, I think the second hand of the day, I opened with Queen 10. I think I had 25 blinds, which was well over everyone else at the table except one guy. The average at my table was like 12 blinds. Right. And a guy moved in for, I don't know, 13 or 14 blinds over my open with Queen 10, and I just called with Queen 10 off. He had aces, I lost. But that's how much I was willing to gamble, or just put in a trash hand just to try to get lucky and get a bounty. And it was just like back and forth every hand, where right after that hand, it was like clear that everyone realized they just got to get it in.
Right. And it's not, because you think about it, like I said, 825 people, I think, went through just to go from 825. We're talking right about, just a little bit of money, and to move up one spot, it's really not that much. And it takes so long to get up that one spot. But if you knock somebody out, it's guaranteed an extra $1,000. That's a guarantee, and it could be obviously a lot more. So, it is a huge advantage. Talk a little bit about that with regards to the bounty strategy on day two. Like you said, you're now willing to gamble, right? Because the monetary values are so much more. Is there a strategy you feel like? Is it, you looking at focusing on? Is it more stack dependent in this scenario than card dependent almost?
So normally in a bounty tournament, that you would just look at the value of the bounty and try to figure out how many stacks, how many blinds it's worth. This one, the average bounty was worth a little more than 5,000 at the beginning of the day, just taking all the prizes and divided by the number of bounties.
Right.
But the dynamic was a little different in this tournament because it's a mystery bounty, and because the top prize or the top three prizes are so huge compared to the tournament. I mean, top prize is more than first place. And first place was only 750,000. So because of that dynamic, it made the perceived value of the bounties way higher than the actual 5,000. So nobody was really concerned with the actual value of the bounty. They just wanted a shot at the million. It was like at all costs, anybody, including me, just wanted a shot. So you're just trying to knock people out as much as you can. And as far as placement in the tournament, it was so irrelevant. I think we were, on day two, maybe we're guaranteed, I don't know, 1,800 for cashing or something like that. And I came in 42nd, and I only cashed for 20,000. So that's how flat the playout structure was, from 800th to 40th. So there's no point in worrying about moving up spots. You're just playing for the bounty until the bounties are hit. The two or three biggest bounties, that's all you want to play for.
And was that throughout the entire day? I mean, obviously, at the beginning of the day, you kind of think about it like the main event. Right after the money bubble breaks, it's just like an all-in fest, right? Like everyone's standing in line because they're all like knocked out. Right. It sounds like that's what kind of happened at the beginning of day two. Did it really kind of keep going that way as it went along, or did people start settling in and going, wait a second, I got a shot at a bracelet too, so maybe I shouldn't be so silly?
So the value of the bounty kept going down as the bigger bounties got hit, and as it's compared to your placement in the tournament. So when we're under 100 people, it that becomes more important getting to the final table than it is the bounty, because there wasn't there wasn't $1 million bounty left, there wasn't a 500K bounty left, and there wasn't a 250. There was one 100K bounty left when we were down to like 100 people. So most of the bounties were smaller and less relevant, but people really didn't adjust. Everyone just wanted that, still wanted that 100,000 or 25,000, and it seemed like people didn't adjust. It became more of a standard tournament from in my eyes at that point. But most people still wanted just chance to just get a bounty and big bounty, and were overplaying their hands at that point. But it was fun because, I mean, everyone was the short stack. The average stack was like, I don't know, like 20 blinds most of day two through the tournament. So it was really short stack tournament.
I thought 20 is even bigger than I thought. I thought it'd be like
maybe it was not. Yeah,
maybe
it was less, but maybe 18 or 17 blinds. But it was a pretty short stack tournament. So it was basically just get it in fast, flip fest, and it was fun. It's a turbo. I love it.
Yeah. And it sounds like it was a lot. I wonder if next year they'll consider waiting to do the community chest ones till at least like maybe after dinner or something along those lines. I mean, it's a bummer for people who get knocked out that get that, but more of, like you said, it completely deflated the room. You'd like to like still have that, oh, I could get it kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if next time they're like, okay, after dinner, we're going to start the community chest ones, where that number will obviously get down a little further. It'll make the tournament probably go a little faster as well. So no one will complain about that. I mean, what an incredible scenario for you. As you said, you only cashed for a little over 20,000. First place was $750,000. This is like such a big hype up for people who don't know. Everyone, you got to go on YouTube and see Matt's bounty hat. You'll understand when you go on YouTube and see it and the moment. But I will say, and I'm going to share this on the screen right now, this is the quote. And this is what you had said originally. You didn't understand the hype. You originally tweeted, never seen so much over nonsense circus bounty event. And then obviously after winning the million, the reply, I get it now. So at the beginning, did it just seem like this is just so silly and goofy? And now obviously after winning the million, do you kind of forget winning the million? I mean, obviously that's the end all be all, but do you now kind of like see, like, was this really good for poker and something that you feel like they should do maybe even more than one during the summer?
Oh, I'm sure they're going to do a PLO mystery bounty event next year too. And it's going to be, this thing's going to take off. There was so much excitement and so much FOMO, as I said, but that tweet, that was actually just really a needle. It wasn't as it seems. What happened was I bagged the night before. I bagged a big bag the night before, and then all my peers, all my friends, all were FOMO, fear of missing out. They were jumping in the last flight, the turbo flight, trying to get a bag for the next day. So it was like, obviously it's a different kind of event. It's kind of a gimmick event. So I was making fun. It's like a circus event, but so much. But really, what I was making fun of was all the pros who would never play $1,000 event. All my peers would never play $1,000 event. We're all FOMOing in, jumping in, and rebuying and re-entering, just trying to get a bag for day two.
Right. Talk about an unbelievable one. There's going to be so much gamble. There's a lot of gamble in PLO as it is. Now add this to it. It's going to be nuts. I mean, it's going to be absolutely nuts. So is this an event now that you're like, oh, there's no way I'm missing this ever again?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think whether they have a $1,000 no limit mystery bounty or a 3,000 or a PLO, I mean, it's going to be a must play event. It seems like there was as much excitement or more for this event than there was for the main event. It was weird because they were at the same time.
Right.
So, I played day one, B, I think, of the mystery bounty event. And the next day I played day one B of the main event. And then the following day I played, that was day two of the mystery bounty. That's how you had to do it if you bagged. Right.
Well, tough, high class problems, but you had to like figure it out just perfectly, right?
But I don't know how the World Series feels about it. I don't know how Jack and Ty feel about it, but everyone was talking about the bounty event. No one was talking about the main event. That's never happened
crazy.
before.
Right. But that's great. I think
Yeah.
it's really good because obviously as the main event extends on, everyone's focused on that. But
Right.
it's great to have that excitement all the time. And when Colossus first came out and all of that, there was so much hype and et cetera. So it's great to see something new about this. This has been something that has kind of been around for the last year or two. And obviously there's been so much excitement and to hear that there was going to be $1 million one. I mean, everyone was all aboard. So fantastic with regards to it. You have been around for so long in the world of poker and have played obviously through the entire 17-year run at the Rio. And now we moved over to Paris Bally's. And there was definitely some skepticism coming into it. But now that you've been there for several weeks, what's kind of your take on it? And what's your opinion about the move?
I mean, everyone's loving it. Everyone I talk to loves it. No one's missing the Rio. The job they're doing, Ty Stewart, Jack Effel, they got to be proud of themselves, proud of the team. The venue's amazing. It's just a much better experience overall for everyone. And I'm sure if it was up to them, they would have moved here years ago.
Right.
But yeah, no one's missing the Rio. This is great.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that really I've asked so many people. We've had them on the show talking about it as well. And I think going into it, there was, cautious skepticism. People were worried. Definitely the parking was something people were worried about. But I think overall, this is beyond just kudos to Jack and Ty. I think and it's seamless, really, really seamless.
For sure.
For the worst complaint that I have personally heard was that Bally's air conditioning wasn't on doing well the first week. That's literally the worst complaint I've had. That's amazing because, you really could have thought there was a lot of other issues. It has been seamless and it is, it was amazing. I definitely gave it an incredible grade. I would have said, I'm being serious. I'm a really tough grader too. I would say A-.
Yeah.
That's really I'm not really even sure why I'm not giving it an A. But maybe it's just the small little things, but overall it was phenomenal. It really was, and I'm excited to go back. I'm excited to go back because of that.
It's their first try at the Bally's in Paris, and I'm sure they'll make improvements. But for a first year event there, I think it's a 10 out of 10. Yeah,
it was great. I mean, bathrooms. No issues. I mean, like I remember the Rio, you had to walk all the way back to your room. You barely got up to your room, was able to go to the bathroom and come back down. And if you didn't miss a hand, you were lucky. Here, 4 minutes up to your room, back. You go to another area. The casino was so close. For people who have been to the Rio, again, this isn't criticizing the Rio, it's just factual. The conference center is so far away from the casino that to walk all the way to the casino would take almost 10 minutes. The casino is right there. So you could just walk onto the casino floor and basically go to that bathroom. You can go to another room. Obviously the main bathroom, which people just went to, there was a line. And even that one moved really quick. Obviously food options, incredible. If you had a day off, you could go to a show and it was very simple. I loved it. I really thought it was fantastic. I really did. What anything else with regards to your summer that was exciting or thoughts of World Series for you?
I still got a couple more tournaments. I only need one final table, so that's kind of a downer for me. I guess on average I make 2 final tables a summer. I'm still trying to win a bracelet, and we have the 10K Raz coming up tomorrow, and then 3K horse on Thursday, and then I'm out of here. So hopefully final table one of those before I get out.
You've had a illustrious career, as I said, 7.5 million in earnings. If you add this, it would be 8.5. How important is a bracelet to you for your career?
It seems more important for my friends than me, as far as making fun of me for not having one. I mean, it's whatever. I'm happy. As long as I'm profitable every summer and make money, that's really the goal. I like the competition. It'd be nice to get a bracelet, but maybe that's not in the cards for me. Many final tables without getting one, so it's kind of frustrating. Other than just getting the monkey off my back, that's really it's no big deal.
Of all the final tables, and you have made multiple final tables at the World Series, that isn't rubbing it in. I'm sorry, but like, what do you take away from them? Because you've been playing for 2 decades, and you obviously have made multiple final tables. You've had some big wins as well, well in the 6 figures, almost $1 million win over in Europe. What can you take away from the World Series? Because like you said, you're getting to 1 or 2 every single summer on average. And, as much as you're used to being there, there is still that weird monkey that's sitting over you that you're like, you just want to grab. What do you take away? If you get that when you get that next opportunity, what are you kind of taking away from all of your previous experiences? I'm just saying that for people who are listening and are saying, God, if I make that first one, I don't want to be this, or I should focus on this. You know what I mean?
I mean, for me, it's always about making correct decisions, whether you're at the final table or early in a tournament or in a cash game. Just make as many correct decisions as you can, and try to run good. And if you do that, eventually you're going to win one, or you're going to get to a lot of final tables. And luck is a big part of the game. So I don't get too emotional ups or downs about it when I make a final table. I'm just trying to make the correct decisions and then learn from my mistakes and never make the same mistake twice.
Matt Glantz, really appreciate. Congratulations. What a show for you to win this $1 million bounty. I remember looking online being like, oh my God, he won it. This is so great. So we're really happy for you. So congrats again.
Thanks a lot, Bernard. Appreciate it.
Matt Glantz here on the Bernard Lee Poker Show. Next week, we're going to continue our coverage. We'll have more 2022 WSOP news, interviews. Stay tuned. Obviously, follow me on Twitter at Bernard Lee Poker and Instagram, and go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Bernard Lee Poker. Thanks, everyone. And as always, may you always go in with the best hand, and may you never get unlucky. Good night, everybody.